figure this out. And, Marty always says, just tell him you'll be back in 3 days. So when we've done this, just in role plays, I can actually feel sort of a change in my, in my psyche or in my heart about that. This person is no longer a target, so to speak. This person is like a colleague and trying to help me figure out how to get through this difficult thing that happened because of the budget. So it's a different mindset, but it's a very specific meeting. This is not, like I say, this is a tool that you put into your toolkit alongside of everything else. This doesn't mean you should stop doing those other things. It doesn't mean you should only do this. It means that this is another thing. And it's extremely important for us because there have been so many cuts and these things affect us in such important ways. So what I think would be useful is to try to do one of the other kind of meetings now. Try to do the new kind of meeting and see how it feels to you. See what kind of questions you come up with. Even the people who are acting as legislators should probably feel that you will, I hope you feel differently, because theoretically you're going to feel a little bit more heat. I mean, truthfully, the other dynamic is they come in and people just start ragging at you, and basically all you have to do is sit there and let them rag, and then they get up and leave when they're done. Thank you very much for coming, I'll tell the legislator. Yeah.
They only understand numbers and dollars and not human suffering. And what she taught me was they don't even listen. They'll be using their cell phone. And it's really important to get feedback and get that connection, even the eye contact. So that's what I learned from Denise.
And that's actually key, because if you're talking to them about your own personal situation, I can't pay my provider. She's been my provider for 8 years. I haven't been able to give her that money now for 2 months. What do I do? Where do I go to get some help? I mean, how can they, they can't glaze over. They can't get on, if they do get on their cell phone at that point, I guess all you have to do is sit there and wait till they're done with their cell phone. But, it is a different, you're talking to them one human being to one human being, It's sort of like, how many have seen Avatar? Remember the connecting of the tail of the beast and the tail of the person, and it's like making that connection, and then the light goes boom. It's like, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that little inkling of a human connection. And if you make that once, you can go back to it over and over and over. You can milk it forever. Other comments before we do our role play?
I just have a basic question, and one is, how do you avoid being referred to the staff or to the aide? How do you get directly to the legislator, who is the one who makes the count? Because oftentimes I've seen that happen.
Well, I have my own comment on that, and one is it is important to see the legislator, but it's also important because it's so much easier to get to a staff person and develop that human connection with the staff person. If you get that person is going to be your advocate with the legislator. It is important to get to the legislator, obviously. We might have some, since we have a staffer here, we might have some ideas from you about how to get to. Yeah.
This is my best friend, Loretta Donovan, who works for Darrell Steinberg. I'm Frances Gracechild. I run an independent living center in Sacramento. Loretta used to come to our events. I'd have a press conference or I'd have a fundraiser, and she worked for Eisenberg, who was an assemblyman at that time. The younger people won't know who that is, but he was a powerful assembly member who had used to be the mayor. And so she would come and bring little resolutions and read them at my events, and I always thought she was a nice lady, about my age, and she thought I was a nice lady. And lo and behold, one day somebody said, Eisenberg wants you to go to Willie Brown's summit, economic summit in L.A., and, you know, being an egotist and a slightly narcissistic, I thought, well, they finally noticed how fabulous I am, right? And of course, that is not what happened, not at all. Little one over here, right, says to her boss, you need to send an invitation to Francis. And that's how I got to meet Kathleen Brown that way. So it really is, like you said, get those staffers pitching for you.
Right. And now she's her best friend, right? So that advocacy that you could offer on behalf of Francis, on behalf of that, and that may generalize to the issue, it may not even. But if you get Francis in a room, she's going to make that advocacy then. So that's absolutely. I mean, it's not unimportant to get to the member, but believe me, it's the fact that you know that guy's cell phone number and he's just a staffer. That's just fine. That's just fine. This level of the staffer. I just got a pink card saying we got 5 minutes left. So what I'd like to do is do a quick role play with the new dynamic that Marty's laying out there and see if you can feel any differences between that and the one we just did. Okay, let's get some comments here. What happened here? Let's just hear.
I think with the old way, you know, as a legislator, you feel detached, and you feel that it's somebody else's responsibility other than your own. But with the new way, you feel, ooh, I goofed. I was responsible for passing, you know, for making these horrible changes. And so, you know, you try to put yourself in their shoes, and now suddenly it's up to you to find the solutions. So you really, I mean, the dynamic changes.
The dynamic changes. I watched a couple of people over here, and there was an interesting interaction. They basically got the legislator here, who was terrific. She just kept pushing and pushing. What's your name? Carla kept pushing and pushing, and finally Loretta said, well, gee, you know, there are resources out there. I'm sure you can find them. And so, because Carla's like, I'm going to lose my home. And, I mean, all of these terrible things are going to happen to me. And then she stopped and let Loretta talk, which was good. I mean, that's one of the keys. If you hear yourself talking and talking and talking and them not talking, you need to remember you're letting them off the hook. But then the interesting thing was Carla was pushing Loretta. Loretta responds. And the lady over here, what's your name? Bonnie. Bonnie says, so ask her to do that. Tell her to call DPSS. Okay. And so that's really the point. I'll come back in 3 days. Could you do some research for me? I so appreciate anything you can find out. I really, really, really do. I'll be back in 3 days. Thank you very much. And get up and leave before they say, I can't do it. No, just kidding. Anyway, I think we got to go. We keep getting pink signs saying end. They want to set up for lunch. So I thank you all. And remember, this is a work in progress. You can go to Marty's website.